Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish Podcast with Jim Hill. It's me, Len Testa, and this is our show for the week of Schmurz Day, January 27th, 2025. On the show today, news! And special guest Christina Harrison tries out Universal's new Stella Nova Resort and Festival of the Arts food. Then in our main segment, Jim continues the history and future of Disney's Reflections, a Lakeside Lodge. Let's get started by bringing in the man who's disappointed that Facebook will no longer be fact-checking posts, and that as People Magazine's 2025 Sexiest Man Alive, he will do everything he can to get that changed. It's Mr. Jim Hill. Jim, how's it going?
It's going well, Len. And I have to say, what do I have that John Krasinski, Patrick Dempsey, and Chris Evans, the last two Sexiest Men People Magazine, have? All right. Hair.
You're like if John Hamm had a blog. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
Well, there we go. But again, I look in the mirror and say, okay, I need hair, I need abs, a waist. A waist would be nice, but okay, I'll take it.
And yet you prevailed. So
there we go.
Also with us today is Touring Plan's intrepid field reporter, Christina Harrison. Welcome, Christina, and happy birthday.
Yay, thank you. Happy to be here.
All right. And let's do a quick shout out to our subscribers. Thanks to everyone who subscribes to the show over at patreon.com/JimHillMedia, including Doug Reed, Melissa Irwin, Shane Pate, Blake Long, Andy Belster, and Robra. Jim and Chrissy, these are the Disney food panelists who taste test all the new food that went into this year's Festival of the Arts. They say that while most of the dishes that Disney's chefs come up with are solid ideas from the start, they're still trying to forget the taste of Heffalump Helper. True story.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of like a ground beef.
Let's not go there, Len. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
It's an idea best left unexplored.
Okay.
On to the news. Folks, the Disney Dish News is sponsored by DVC Rental Store. Have you ever dreamed about staying in deluxe accommodations at Disney for a fraction of the cost? If so, the DVC Rental Store connects guests with incredible savings on Disney Vacation Club resorts. Whether you're a DVC member looking to rent your points or a guest who's looking to stay in style, the DVC Rental Store offers a seamless process for both. And don't forget, they also offer exciting point swaps for unforgettable experiences like cruises and adventures. Check them out at dvcrentalstore.com/DisneyDish. On to the news, and it's a pretty slow week for news, but a couple of interesting things. One is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run has a single rider line that is now back to one person only in the single rider line. If you recall over the holidays, Jim and Chrissy, that they had gone to a two-person single rider line for a while, but that apparently was just for the holidays.
Okay. Dang. Okay.
And then also, Tiana's Bayou Adventure has its operating schedule changed for the next few weeks. It now closes at 6 p.m. on weekdays. And this is probably for maintenance reasons. And if you're going to do maintenance, I'm thinking that it makes sense that they would close it when it's cold at night and fewer people want to ride. So, January, February weekdays when it's cold kind of makes sense. But interestingly, also, the Seas with Nemo and Friends over at Epcot is closing at 7 p.m. again. And Jim and Chris, remember, Disney tried this before. This was the standard schedule before 2020, right?
Yeah, but again, remember, a lot of that was operating on the theory that it's after dark in Epcot. 90% of the park guests are somewhere around World Showcase Lagoon, scouting out places, to watch Illumination. So
yeah, well, not Illuminations, but whatever.
Well, yeah,
Luminous, yeah.
Luminous. There we go.
All right, I believe that's true too. But it is kind of fantastic at night. So hopefully we'll see what happens there. My sense is that this is sort of like the tip of some cost cutting measures that we're about to see go into wider release shortly.
Could be.
And speaking of that, Disney opened sales of Lightning Lane Premier Pass to all guests last week. Jim, you'll remember that this started out as some Disney resorts and then spread to all the Disney resorts, and now it's everyone who comes to the parks. I don't think they've changed the amount of ride capacity allocated to Premier Pass. I think it's that they take this chunk out first and then whatever's left they throw into multi-pass and, single pass. The interesting thing to me here, Jim, is that this is sort of a compromise on Disney's part, right? Because they're taking a small hit on hotel occupancy because now you don't have to stay on site to buy it, right? But hotels have substantial operating costs, and digital goods like Premier Pass don't.
No, that's it exactly. And more to the point, there are folks who, in theory, spur of the moment, this once in a lifetime trip down to Orlando, and it's like, oh, we can jump to the head of the line. Let's spend money on that.
And I know this is all Disney Parks experiences and products revenue, but within that division, Jim, there's somebody who's responsible for things like hotel revenue and dining revenue, right?
Yeah.
And those are different people than the ones that are responsible for like digital goods. So really this is sort of like intramural competition for the same dollars.
Yeah, but that also tells you about the behind the scenes conversations that are going on at the resort with both the executives that work there and the partners. The notion of, hey, can I get something out of that pile too? So
we'll see what happens there. But I think, like I said, I don't think the ratio of ride capacity has changed. So we'll see how that affects wait times going forward.
There we go.
Hey, Len, do you have a crowd calendar level that you would suggest? Because we did the Premier Pass and it was only a crowd calendar 4 and it was kind of an enormous waste of money. So do you have an idea of like a crowd calendar level where it would make sense?
Well, that's a good point. So if you're, remember on last week's show, we did an Animal Kingdom touring plan.
Right.
And it was a crowd level 2 day, granted.
Right.
And it was also, where rope dropped, right? But we were able to do all the rides in an hour and 45 minutes.
Right.
I don't think that's
what do you think?
At Magic Kingdom?
Yeah.
So that was an Animal Kingdom. At Magic Kingdom, I mean, like 5?
Yeah. We'll have
Maybe?
to test that. Because it definitely wasn't worth it at a 4 because we felt silly even tapping in for the lightning lane when there literally is no wait. So it really was like just to flex the magic band. Yeah. Interesting. Sorry. Thank you.
We'll have to test that out more. And you're testing a touring plan for us next week in the Magic Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, cool. And speaking of Chrissy, you and I were both at the Festival of the Arts last week.
You were more art, and I was more festival.
I was more artsy there, and I have to thank our intern Ella, who created for us trays with backpack slings on them, so you could put them over your back like a shield.
That was like peak touring plans for sure.
Oh God, it was, and we had people running up to us like, "This is the greatest idea I've ever seen. You have to patent this." It was amazing. But Chrissy, you went around in one day and tried all of the new food items.
We always do it in one day, yeah.
In
me and
one
myself,
day. Yeah, and I think you sent me the total of how much you spent. It was just under like $565, right?
$580.69. Okay.
Okay.
Now that's just for one of each dish. We had several people with us, so if you go look at the corporate card statement, it's more money than that. Just mind your business. It's not.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a problem. Okay.
I just won't look all that closely.
Yeah. Also, if people haven't seen the video of you, the Siegfried and Joy video on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, it was the best thing to come out of the festival.
Oh, this is me performing actual magic with a piece of cake.
Yeah. I mean, it's stupendous. You have to really have a sharp eye, turn the brightness on your phone all the way up, or you're going to miss it. True magic, just joy.
Yeah, I will. I will put a link to this exquisite video in the show notes. But it would take forever to describe all of the food that you tasted for Festival of the Arts. But you traditionally every year for every festival do a series called The Best $50 You Can Spend.
Right. And we have tried to up that amount because people realistically will spend more, but that seems to be like the comfortable spot. And you really you can feed a lot of people if you're not trying all 53 dishes yourself like we did.
Sure.
And 21 drinks. And we don't include drinks because people have very strong opinions one way or the other. We tried more than 21. For example, there are 8 lemonades at Figment in the Odyssey. We tried 4 of them, but we count that as one because it's just, it's the same lemonade with like different syrups. So
sure.
Technically more than 21 drinks. But yeah, so we, when I do the best 50, I I like to say the table is divided when I'm the only one that thinks something is good and everybody else doesn't. And I say tough noogies because I'm the one writing the notes. So,
well, the important part of leadership is making decisions.
yeah, honestly, I didn't ask for your opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
And, fortunately, I've been doing this for a while for you. So people know like, oh, if Chrissy thinks this is good, I definitely am going to hate it. Or hopefully conversely, if I think something is good, they're like, oh, we normally agree. I'm going to go ahead and get this. So there were a few items that I spent your money on and I will spend my own. And it must be said, Japan. Okay. So the Goshiki booth in Japan has improved, in my opinion, festival over festival, whereas Italy just is swirling that drain. It's, you don't have to, it makes you so angry. That's stupid. The mozzarella, first of all, they were out of the ravioli. And I'm like, I don't want to be this lady. Like I have the
Italians running, imagine how hard it must be to beat down a bunch of Italians to where they don't care about the food they're serving.
Okay,
here's my theory. In terms of effort.
Here's my theory, okay? I think that they put the people that they put at the registers and behind the kitchen to like anesthetize your anger. Like they're so gorgeous that you don't want to say, Paolo, respectfully, I see the ravioli with my lady eyes. I can see it. And you are telling me that you're out of it, but I see it. And they literally almost threw it at me, thrust it. Well, they'll say they thrust it into my hands. Because anyway, I think they try and like wow you. Like when you go into a car show and they have the beautiful people showing you the cars.
Yeah, it's like a dazzle of zebras, right?
You're just like, man, $9.50 makes sense for this. Can just give me your money, God.
Yeah, anyway, exactly. What?
Just skip it. The whole booth, just skip it. Okay.
But okay, let's go with, you mentioned Japan. Let's go with
okay. So Italy, just pass by. It's fine. Look in the booth because everybody's lovely. All right, Japan.
So pretty.
The whole booth, or what we spent, was $32. Okay. So last year, I don't know if you remember the great controversy of the steamed bun. It's high on my list of things I remember about last year's festivals. It was a giant failure. I don't know what we did. Whatever we did, we undid this year because it's way better. Like I didn't even finish the steamed bun last year. And this year I was ready to fist fight Gigi. It's expensive. It's $9.75. That didn't make the list of the best 50, but that's just because people won't give me more than $50 to spend. So what you should absolutely get is everything, because who doesn't love a sushi donut? But the taiyaki, I don't know if you like that.
You've never had this before, and I do like it, but I discovered taiyaki.
I had it,
me too.
Yeah, in that my favorite little conveyor belt sushi place in Orlando. They have it. And I know that's not real sushi, whatever. So it's crispy, flaky fish-shaped pastry filled with sweet red bean. People are always put off by the red bean, but it doesn't taste like red bean, but it does, but it's not too sweet. Hard to describe, but you gotta try.
Well, this is the thing. So it's a dessert.
It is, but it's a Japanese dessert. So it's not.
Right. And it's not overly sweet.
Right.
I know this because, where I live, we have an Asian grocer, and they sell these as frozen desserts.
Delightful.
And they're amazing. So red bean is one flavor. They also come in chocolate and vanilla.
This was so incredible. Stores,
but this was red bean. Yeah,
right.
Really good. And you're right. It's not overly sweet.
No.
It's got a little bit. It's like a frozen ice cream pastry.
It's stunning. And the whipped topping is not that like gritty, sugary. Yeah. It's very light. And the blueberry popping boba is not, I mean, I'm not going to go so far as to say it's like natural. Reverse verification of like an actual juiced blueberry. We're not going that far, but it's not what you get like when you go to mall boba places and you want like the popping boba. It's not that level of sugar either.
Well, I mean, those boba are made by Dow Chemical, I'm convinced.
And they're delicious. They're delicious and they have their place. Surely. Well, this was so good. Normally, so I know going in, I have to eat 53 dishes. I try 53 dishes. at least one bite. And so I try to literally do one bite, because otherwise, if you get too full, like you just don't care anymore. And you're like, whatever.
Yeah. And then everything tastes the same.
Right. Sure. But I had to have like 3 or 4, and I will be back this weekend or tomorrow.
If you have an Asian grocer like an H Mart or a J Mart or whatever,
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to be.
Yeah, Taiyaki.
Yeah,
Taiyaki's
if you're going to go, this is fantastic. Okay. So that is, obviously it's not vegan, and it's a dessert. So let's talk about something savory real quick. Every year this makes my list because it's expensive to make on your own. It's the mussels, cast iron roasted mussels with sauteed tomatoes, garlic, and fresh herbs. $8. In what
$8?
World are you going to go to the trouble to make really good mussels? An enormous bowl.
I mean, $8 is an entire bag of mussels. I'll give it that. But it's the hassle
and then you
of
have to
cleaning
clean
them.
it.
And
you have to debeard them.
Yeah.
You have to come up with all the stuff for the pot liquor. Here's the best part.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Craftsman's Courtyard, if you're leaving Imagination and you're headed towards World Showcase on that right path, where the old Starbucks is and the bathrooms and all that. Okay, there's the grill. So there's the kitchen, and that's where you get the other stuff, like the beef Wellington, which also made my list. It is as big as Gigi's head. It's $8.50. It is remarkable. It's like
I've
an
heard
entire
wonderful
steak
things
dinner.
about this too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And I like the roasted bone marrow, but it freaked everybody else out. Like, it's very Fred Flintstone. It's fine. Yeah. And the coffee old fashioned is outstanding there. Outstanding.
Oh, is it? Okay. So you would go with the mussels.
I just get everything.
Just get everything.
Okay, but the mussels. So you get everything else at the main kitchen. And then they say, take your receipt and you go over to the grill to get your mussels. They do not scoop out your mussels until you are over there and they have your receipt. So it's not going to be cold.
Oh, wow.
And this is with me taking like pictures and video and all the dumb stuff, They scoop out your mussels, and then there is a separate giant cauldron of the pot liquor from the mussels and all of these like herbs and juices and wonderful things. And they scoop it out in a ladle, and it is magical. It's wonderful. And you can smell the grilled bread is on one side, and you dip that for $8. Are you serious?
I mean, Jim, here's what I'm thinking. Like, because it's 45 degrees right now in Central Florida where we are. To be able to stand in front of a grill with mussels, tomatoes, garlic, and herbs all around you, like that person smells good, is warm, and probably has the clearest nasal passages of anyone in the Orlando area right now.
You could tell he was the rock star of the booth.
Oh yeah.
I want to say Chef Mark. I can't remember his name, so I don't want to say it wrong. But you could tell he was like, everybody else was like the opening act, and he was the star because he was on that grill. He had his bread and the mussels, and you know what? Bless him. $8. I'm in.
They always do dishes like this really well, whether it's this seafood boil or whatever.
And I don't know why we got rid of that in America, but okay. You're right.
All right. But still, it goes well. All right. And then you and I, there's a new booth called Fictional Victuals. And I think you and I both like all of this.
Oh, I loved it. You didn't try the butterscotch shake. And I have to say that was a mistake. It sounds disgusting. It sounds gross.
So there were three items, right?
Yeah.
There was a charred octopus. So it's Fictional Victuals, and it's supposed to be like food inspired by Disney stories. And this one was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Right.
Okay. So one of them was it's supposed to be squid, but it's really charred octopus.
Right.
And charred octopus had its moment like in 2018.
I'm good.
Right. Everyone was doing it. So everyone who's been out to eat since then has tried it. I thought this was really well done though. It wasn't a whole lot of octopus.
I didn't love that. I didn't think for $7.75. I mean, unless you're just this enormous fan of one piece of charred octopus, it's not easy to share. First of all,
that's the thing.
And that's the whole point of a festival, right? It's supposed to be things that you're not going to cook, you've never tried, delicacies that you love and could never afford to make for that price.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I could buy the octopus or whatever, but it's the 37 other ingredients in the 28 step process to prepare it that I don't want to do. Here's your $8.
Right. I can make a biscuit from scratch or pasta. I don't know how to prepare octopus. I'm going to ruin it. And plus, it just wasn't. I would skip that one. But the squid ink was where we agreed. That was $7.75. Yeah. And people are going to be put off, like your chicken tender eaters. No hate, no shade. I love them myself. But don't be fooled by the squid ink. It doesn't taste like Squidward. Like it's salty.
Squid ink doesn't have a taste.
Like
yeah.
It's
just
wonderful. And the truffle on top, that's like what we were just saying. Like, who's going to shave black truffle? You're just not going to. So it's totally worth trying. It was really delicious.
Yeah, I really like this a lot too. I would have, and there were 4 of us, or 4 or 5 of us sampling food at this point in the day. I would have eaten all of that. That was really, really good. The truffle wasn't overpowering either.
No.
I have to admit, this booth's theme, novel dishes inspired by beloved books. How does a butterscotch shake factor in there? What was that theme to?
I don't know, but I can
Excellent question, Jim.
I can tell you, I thought that the squid ink, because all I really remembered from 20,000 Leagues, and shame on me, I have to read it again, was the squid. And like the way that the squid is described is like the world's longest, biggest squid. And they kind of nailed that because the noodles are extra, extra, extra long.
Oh, clever.
So, like comically long. So if you happen to be there on Lunar New Year, you're supposed to have your long, unbroken noodles. 2 birds. I'm just saying. I don't know where the butterscotch comes in. I was prepared to hate it.
Yeah, I didn't even try this. It looked like it. I have texture issues with food. This looked like something that I wouldn't be able to keep down. Was it really?
It was. It wasn't that like, those butterscotch chips that you get when you make cookies that are just, I mean, they're so good, but they're so false. And it leaves that funky film. This was not like that. I don't know how to describe it. Was butterscotch, but it was like how butterscotch should be. And it didn't have the funky aftertaste. I loved it. I probably wouldn't spend my money on it, but I'm really glad I had it. It was very, very good. I was kind of surprised.
I don't know.
Okay. Let's do one more dish that I was really surprised at. Okay. China, the Painted Panda has.
Was the panda grilled or? How do you?
It said painted, Leonard.
Sorry.
So let me read you this. I was really surprised. I went in thinking, because honestly, the last couple festivals, China has been.
Yeah, China's kind of hit or miss, right?
So expensive, right? And stuff is really small, and I automatically am judging. This is very different now. Okay, it's called the har gao. I might be saying that wrong.
Shrimp.
Shrimp dumplings.
Yeah.
With pumpkin puree and a drizzle of chili oil. It is not spicy. Do not be fooled. $10.75 feels like a lot because it's just 3. But they are remarkable.
So it's shrimp and pumpkin puree in the dumpling.
Yes, but it's more than that. Like, it's not, the texture is very different. So you have your shumai, which is, it's a dumpling. Shumai is a dumpling, right? But the texture of the two, and I certainly am not educated enough to speak on the difference in the dough, but it was wildly different. Maybe it was the way that they were prepared. The sauce was really light and delightful. Like, I had to sit down and write a note before I moved on to the next booth. I was just so shocked at how different it was. Like, this is not something that you get, or I certainly don't get here in Central Florida from my Chinese takeout place. It was really well done. Really, really beautiful. I loved it.
But the chili oil wasn't spicy?
It's just a little drizzle, and it's.
Did it have the mala, the mouth numbing texture to it?
No.
Oh, so okay, so
not
American chili
close.
oil. Okay,
not even close to that.
Okay, all right.
No, complete opposite end of the heat spectrum there.
All right, so 3 dumplings for $10.75.
I know.
I think it's worth it.
I know it's pricey. Okay. But I insisted that it's on the list because, again, it's festival food. So it's stuff you're never going to make. You probably would never try otherwise. And it's really, really good. And you can share it, which is important. It's
Right.
totally separate. Like, even if you're going with friends, not somebody you gave birth to, like Giovanna will pull the food out of my mouth if it's something that like cotton candy or whatever. But if it's people that you hang with, and you don't want to you're not bumping forks, if you will, this is easy to share, which is what festival food should be, right? In my opinion, that I made up all by myself. The other thing is drinks.
Yeah. Okay. So you covered both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks, right?
And this is where Painted Panda also comes in, because they have the most popular drink, which is the Butterfly Blue. Butterfly pea flower infused cocktail with vodka, light rum, lychee syrup, and boba pearls. Now, I don't enjoy vodka. I prefer bourbon. RIP to the Swanky Saucy Swine, when we used to have the Bourbon Bloody Mary, single greatest drink ever at an Epcot festival. This is traditionally, this is what everybody else loved. Okay. But the table was divided, which means I am the only one that was obsessed with this drink. And so that's what we're going to talk about. The
opinions were split. It was me and everyone else.
And I'm the one who typed.
Exactly.
But I love a mint julep. I am a Southern old lady at heart. Deconstructed strawberry mint julep with Jim Beam. See, it was bourbon. Straight bourbon. Okay. And it has a pipette of the strawberry gel. Okay. So it is deconstructed. Do not take a whole swig of just the bourbon. It's frozen.
Yeah. Cause that's just bourbon.
Right.
Yeah.
Squeeze the pipette. Stir it on up. There's fresh mint leaves. Mint leaves were a big theme. We must have gotten a bargain on some mint leaves, because they were everywhere.
All right.
Fresh mint was everywhere. Love it. Awesome.
How
incredible.
Okay. So this is a drink that you have to assemble yourself. Jim, how is IKEA not sponsoring
that? That
this?
is so dramatic. Oh my God, you have to stir it. I do not need to have a 3-inch wrench.
You had to cut the pipette.
No, you don't. You just squeeze it.
Oh, it's pre-cut.
Yeah.
I am just saying, a few adult beverages into the Festival of the Arts. This might be outside of my bailiwick.
Right, exactly. This could be like, you're 50-50 at this point whether we can actually get this to work.
There we go.
I love it. And it's, consider it like you're creating art. All of the dishes for this festival, obviously.
Oh, after that many drinks, I would definitely be feeling very artistic.
Right. Yeah, everything everything takes longer. The lines are longer because everything is so fussy, because they have to have the little stamp, or they have to have the brush, or the whatever. Be patient, it's only through February 24th anyway. And then we're in Flower and Garden. So.
Well, you mentioned, and I just want to briefly talk about the crowds here. At one point on opening day of the festival, they had put masking tape down on the ground in World Showcase, dividing the walkway into left and right, so that traffic would continue, and you weren't getting people walking on the left side of the road, which is really the right from everyone else.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
A lot of people.
All right. And what about non-alcoholic drinks, Chrissy?
The deconstructed dish, the non-alcoholic strawberry mint julep. Remarkable. Also, and I know I could make this myself. Can we just real quick say, please don't get the deviled eggs in America. Skip it. It's going to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, I think deviled eggs are so personal.
It just wasn't good. I like good deviled eggs, and they weren't good. The non-alcoholic. So the strawberry bubble milk tea in China, $8.75. It is full size, like enormous, giant, full size. And they have the boba straws, the real ones, different colors.
Oh, the big ones. Yeah. Okay.
So good. I loved the Figment frozen lemonade. I know that was not like a huge hit. Again, the table was divided, but I say I like it. It's $5. Keepsake cups, color changing. You can ask for extra syrup.
This is the one where there were because I tasted these with you.
Yeah.
And this was the one where we couldn't figure out which flavors were which, right?
Yeah, but if you ask them, we were there at the beginning of the day. It was on day 1. So the lavender, which was my favorite, well, I don't know. I liked them all. The lavender, you can ask them, can I have 2 extra pumps? It's not Starbucks, and they're not going to customize it. But if you say a little bit extra, because it's very mild, it's all the lemonade base is all the standard yellow frozen lemonade base. And then they're just adding in the Monin syrup.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
So there were 8 flavors, right?
Yes.
Blue raspberry, strawberry, toasted marshmallow, lavender, chipotle, pineapple, cupcake, a South Seas blend of mango, guava, and ginger, and then, oddly enough, hickory smoke.
Yeah, I'm going to try that one. And I don't like a false, liquid
I know,
smoke.
because it tastes chemical.
But I'm going to try. I'm going to try it.
I think the two that we could identify of the 3 that I tasted anyway were toasted marshmallow and lavender, and those were good. I don't know that. I mean, for me, the overwhelming taste was still of lemonade, and so it was very subtle. So maybe you do ask for the extra pump there,
right? The other non-alcoholic that I would definitely recommend that you can make at home is the chai tea mint fizz.
Oh yeah,
in Morocco. It was just so good, and it's just Sprite, again mint, and chai tea.
Right.
Who knew? I mean, probably everybody but me, but it was so good. I loved it. I'm totally going to make it.
So, speaking of fizz, I have to tell Jim this story. So, I've had a cold all week.
God.
So Chrissy had to go to Stella Nova, the hotel, for me because I couldn't make it. But, Jim, the other night I was drinking some Alka-Seltzer plus cold medicine. So, I put the 2 tablets in the water, and then waited for them to dissolve and then drank it. And I didn't realize that one of the tablets had not yet fully dissolved when I drank it, and the little bit of tablet got stuck in my throat. And honest to God, my first thought was, I'm going to die and become an urban legend, like Mikey from the Life cereal who died from the Pop Rocks. Like this is how I'm going out. Death by Alka-Seltzer.
If you die by some dumb crap like that, you better specify in writing that I am not to give a eulogy, because I will clown you
exactly
behind your coffin.
But the 2 weeks that Nancy and I were dealing with influenza A. I mean, I during that time, I think my blood type actually was Alka-Seltzer Plus. That's how much of that stuff I was consuming.
My blood type was tangerine.
There we
that's
go.
The flavor that I. Yeah, and honestly, guys, so I'm standing over the sink choking, and I can feel it fizzing in my throat, and I'm like, I don't want to aspirate this, right? So I'm like, do I? And it's stuck through some sort of weird chemical mechanical thing. Like it's stuck to my throat. I'm trying to drink water and I can breathe, right? I'm not losing my composure or anything. Like I can breathe, but I'm like, okay, this is serious. My first thought was like, okay, am I going to die? No, but I'm like, but if I die, this is going to be the funniest story ever. Like I'm going to become an urban legend.
One final side note here. That, again, I'm actually consuming seltzer water while we do this show. But again, you're that long, you're that sick for that long, you get lazy. And I one afternoon made the mistake of tossing Alka-Seltzer Plus tablets into a glass of seltzer water and damn near took out the kitchen. I
was going to say,
you don't want to do that.
You learned what was it nucleation points? Is that what is that the term? Yeah, where all the bubbles attach. Yeah,
the hard way. So
I also made the mistake while I was sick early in the week of not drinking coffee for 3 days. So I woke up.
Yeah,
I woke up on Wednesday, the day that we were supposed to go to, Tuesday, the day that we were supposed to go to Stella Nova, and I couldn't. Every time I was breathing, like everything hurt, like my head was throbbing. And so finally, like on Wednesday, I was like, I need some coffee. So I had some Starbucks delivered, and within an hour I was like, oh, you know what? This isn't so bad. I feel good.
Life is worth living.
It was literally a minor cold with caffeine withdrawal that made it worse. So,
well, at the point you no longer have opposable thumbs. Caffeine is your friend. Okay.
Exactly. Anyway, so Christy, you went to Stella Nova as well on Tuesday, and this is Universal's new value hotel, one of 2, opening as part of Epic Universe, and the theme here is the stars.
Yes, right? The value stars. Yeah.
A couple of interesting things. So ahead of time, the managers had emailed, I guess, everyone checking in saying, look, we're not going to open until 11. Give me the names of everyone that's on your reservation. So we're going to keep at the riffraff. So we did that and everything too. And then they said, we're opening at 11. Don't show up before 11. And so I think we did that as well. But what was your, also they were only running the hotel at half capacity.
Yes, confirmed.
To start with. Okay.
Okay.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your impression on checking in? What was your experience with the theming?
Okay. And it's important to note this was opening day, and they did not check IDs. Literally anybody that wanted to come in could, if you could find it.
Oh.
So if you're checking in any time between now and May 25th when Epic opens, hopefully it'll be on your Waze app or on the Maps app on your phone, because it's not. There's so much construction. They're moving very quickly, that said. So that's not going to be a problem for another couple of weeks. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
So the hotel is done. It's pretty, but you can tell, when you're walking in, right? Just like at Disney, you're walking into a brand new value resort. Okay. So, not a lot of, like when we went to the Poly Tower, there were all of those terraces and that sort of thing. There are a few seating areas, but it's kind of minimal. It's efficient. The hotel is efficient. It's neat. Some really neat lighting fixtures, really cool wallpaper. The bar was lovely. We tried their signature drink. It's right there in the lobby. There's a really, really small merch location. And then there's grab and go food. You can get some food at the bar, at the restaurant. And then there's one out by the pool, which we didn't go to because it was like 40 degrees and raining. But we'll go back to that soon. But the room was pretty big for a value. It was 315 square feet.
Okay, so that's the size of a Disney moderate. I think 314 is the moderate size. So almost exactly. So it's a value resort that's the same size as Disney moderates. And Jim, I had checked prices for Tuesday's opening night, and it was within $1 of Pop Century.
Yeah. And that's not just opening night, because Epic's not open. We checked prices into May and June, and I think the most that I saw for our room type was around $185. So doesn't look like there's going to be this huge spike. Now, our room, we've got that on YouTube and Instagram. Our exact room had looked directly over. We were at the front of the resort, directly over the parking lot, which then is up against Epic itself. So,
and I have photos of the room in the show notes.
And so this room and everything in that hallway is going on that side. It's going to have an amazing view of those flying dragons. Was it Bayou Reconstruct that got video of that?
Right. Yeah.
That's going to be very cool. I mean, you're dead center to Epic. It's not like it's off to the side. That room is dead center.
What room number was this?
5076.
5076. Okay.
Yep. 5076. Okay. So the bathroom is tiny. I have all the measurements and everything online.
Okay. But for a value, so it's a value resort.
Same. Yeah, exactly the same. Now so there's the vanity section is outside of the bathroom, and it has a like a glass partition that does not move. And then there is, so separating the bed from the vanity, there's like that half wall, doesn't move. And there's also like a little curtain. So like if you had, like a 5-6-year-old that was going to be in the tub and, you're out putting away clothes, watching TV or whatever, you could still see the kid in the bathroom if you wanted, or if you wanted privacy, you could pull the curtain. And it was 2 queen beds, pillow top. Of course, everything is new. We got pictures of we always track how old the mattress is and the sheets and all that stuff. So we got pictures of all the quality of all the bedding and stuff. I was impressed because I've never seen, except in Disney Deluxe resorts, I've never seen this many layers of bedding. It was remarkable. Like, it made me stop.
How so? Like, when you say layers?
So the mattress itself is in a zipped up, it was like one of those mattress covers that's some sort of plastic that, protects the mattress. And then there was another mattress cover on top of that. And then there were 3 layers of sheets. And then the cover, which was like quilt-like looking style, but was definitely a poly material.
Okay. And it's all white too.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
But
Okay,
I was
fair.
really surprised at how many layers. Now, that said, the pillow is the flattest pillow we've ever tested.
I heard this from Bayou Reconstruct as well.
Oh, really?
He had specific comments on the flatness of the pillows. I like a flat pillow.
No, what is wrong with you? Absolutely
Well,
not.
because you can stack flat pillows to make
You
a
will need
large pillow, but you
14.
can't Okay.
No, it's this big. You know what it is? It's like, when at the end of July, when you have the like back to school, like college, send your kid to college pillows that are $5. It's like half of one of those.
Half of those.
Yeah, it's like a couple napkins. Like you're laying on a couple napkins. There. But get you a few, whatever. It's whatever.
You know what? Yeah, you just stack them up. Exactly.
You're not going there to sleep. You're going to Epic. Okay. And then we took the bus. Amy took the bus over to City Walk. So she could go to Islands of Adventure. And that was just under 11 minutes. And they were frequent. Really frequent.
Yeah.
She did not wait for a bus.
And these are all electric vehicles, right? The buses.
Oh, that I don't know. I have to.
Yeah, I believe they are. Let's go back to the room real quick. What are the amenities? It has a coffee maker, right?
It does. It has a tiny little Keurig, little individual coffee maker. The coffees provided are less than what you get in like a Disney value, where you get tea and you get all the creamers and sugars and blah. But it's equitable, I guess. There's regular and decaf, and it's got the little pods. And then there's an ice bucket, a mini fridge, an iron, hair dryer, the usual, luggage stand. And
then in terms of outlets and USB charging, there's a little pop-up.
And the lighting was really good. You know what was not, which I like. Some people don't. The AC, when the AC is on, that sucker is loud. Okay.
Is it really?
Oh my gosh. Okay. There are 10 outlets, 4 USB, 2 USB-C.
Okay, so 4 USB-A, the old one.
A is 4, and the new one's 2, 10 outlets.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, and the vanity space is 4 by 4.5. So it's average. So the lighting is good. Lighting is great. Lots of window. Even it was just super dark, and it was great. It was dark outside. The sound, though, this is what's super interesting. So we turned off the AC, just like we always do. And I went to the door and almost put, the microphone at the door. And that.
Oh yeah. So for our listeners, we do sound testing that involves sound meters.
Right.
Go ahead.
So I had the sound meter and I put it at the door. Everything was off. Everything was silent. 40.9 was the reading. Okay. And then what we do is Amy and I always use Ozzy Osbourne Crazy Train, the beginning of Crazy Train. So we calibrate inside and we turn off all of the everything and get the sound reader to whatever the ambient sound level is. And then she will put her phone at 70. The reading will be at 70 for Crazy Train.
70 decibels.
So she starts it over. She goes outside the door. We put the reader and the phone in the same place right next to the door handle. And she'll go ahead and play it and look super weird standing outside at 70. And then I measure, and that was 50.8. So
that's a lot of 50.8 is pretty good soundproofing for being that close to the door.
Right. Yeah.
That's not bad.
It wasn't.
Okay, good.
But when the AC was on, just the AC, nothing else happening, it was at 52. The AC is it's like a small plane taking off, which I like.
So the AC on the inside is like someone playing Ozzy Osbourne on the outside of the door.
Yeah.
Wow, that is.
It's
I like some white noise.
Oh yeah,
no, I was about to say there's white noise, and then there's Antarctic white noise.
Loved it
Exactly. Yeah.
And the AC did get down to 64, which we all know that hack in Disney World that we're going to pretend like we don't know about. But Disney AC doesn't go that low. This one really did.
It also helped that it was cool outside too.
64, and that sucker was loud. But yeah,
wow,
it was nice.
And how were the mattresses?
It was nice. It was a Sealy pillow top. They're very nice now because nobody slept on them. It was great.
Yeah,
we'll check them in 2 years and we'll see how fast they're turning them around. But it was pillow top. It was good. Good quality. It was produced in October. We'll see.
All right. So one last quick question then. How would you rank Stella Nova compared to all the other Valley resorts that you've been to? So Pop Century, Art of Animation, the All Stars.
Well, it's like Oranges and
Cabana
Squid
Bay.
Ink, right? Like I'm across from Stella Nova. This particular room, when I come back with my family, I'm going to see if I can be on that floor in that exact view. Because if Gigi doesn't want to stay up late and doesn't want to see the flying dragons, like you cannot, the window is enormous. It is enormous. It's
And
not,
there's no balcony.
no,
right?
no, no,
It's just,
nope. There's no balcony. You've seen, Bayou's been giving us views of this. It's absolutely beautiful. That exterior is beautiful. No, but it's so big, it doesn't matter. And there's like this little shelf area. So if you had like little ones, you could sit right there. The windows do not open. But could not have asked for a more dead-on view. But it's just what you would expect. Like you're going to a Value. No, the furniture is not going to be exquisite. It's going to be inexpensive, easy to wipe down, not natural materials, easy to clean.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
And 314 square feet. So again, the size of a moderate for value
under
prices.
$200, and I'm going to be able to walk. It's pretty great.
I will say this for anyone who has booked more than a month ago at one of the new resorts, go back and check to see if there are any discounts.
Oh,
because Universal often does that, and you can save some money on that.
Cool.
Yeah, and a big pool. Yep.
Big pool. All right, Chrissy. Again, thank you for all of that. That was fantastic, and thank you for taking one for the team and doing Stella Nova on your own.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Jim continues the history of Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge. We'll be right back.
I know every operating
At my
system
last
like the
job,
back of
in
my
my
hand.
current role,
I have
I
25 years of
am
experience and have worked with several people from your company. I've been recognized for my passion. My team is everything.
LinkedIn delivers candidates who rise above the rest. With an up-to-date view into shared connections, skills, and interests you won't find anywhere else. See why 86% of small businesses who post a job on LinkedIn get a qualified candidate within a day. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/achieve. LinkedIn, your next great hire is here.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
And we're back. All right, Jim, where we left off last week talking about Fort Wilderness.
Yep.
It wasn't built where it was originally intended, right?
That's
and
right.
then it was built, let's say, on a budget.
That's polite. Rushed and on a budget. More to the point, didn't open on schedule. Actually opened November 19th, 1971, some 7 weeks and change after the rest of Disney World opened up. In the end line, none of that mattered. Fort Wilderness was a huge success right from the get-go. The 200 campsites that they'd managed to build completely sold out through the 1971 holiday season, and demand remained strong through spring and summer of 72. So this is why, for the 1-year anniversary of the opening of Fort Wilderness, again, November now of 72, Keith Cambeck, the Disneyland veteran that Dick Nunes had persuaded to fly back east on very short notice to then ride herd on construction of this campground, he's now rushing to get an additional 300 campsites open. Not to mention, set up a narrow gauge railroad that's supposed to run through the campsite. And Len, this is where the whole let's do it fast and cheap thing kind of bit the campground in the butt. Because, again, you can't rush a railroad, especially a 3.5-mile circular route that starts up at the entrance plaza check-in area and then chugs down to the settlement. By the way, this is where that marina you noticed last week was located, just off of the settlement, the place where folks rent boats, or they could go over to the bike barn and rent a bike for the day. But the railroad was also supposed to make stops at the individual loops for the campgrounds, which back then had names like Bay Tree Lane and Palmetto Path and Cypress Knee Circle.
Cypress Knee Circle.
I'm sorry, that's just no Jackrabbit Run. Okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Disney initially announces in its annual report for November of 72 that the railroad will be open early in 73. By the following year, that got amended to our trial period for the railroad will be spring, midsummer of that same year, 1973. But here's the thing, Len. They had an awful trial period. They had a series of derailments.
Really?
They had 4 steam trains, each pulling 5 carloads of passengers. And it wasn't a question of derail and fall over. It was just literally, they'd go to make the turn and the train would just keep going straight. And so suddenly the entire train is sitting upright by the rail. And it's like, well, folks, I guess we get
on the side of the tracks.
There we go. It's like the other thing that, frankly, and this happened enough times that it's like, what the hell is going on? They would be out, trains would be out on the route and suddenly run out of fuel and stop. And it's like, and when you have one train that's now stopped, effectively the other 3 on the line can't go anywhere.
These were steam trains.
These were steam trains.
So you have to balance, not only do you need fuel to heat the water to convert it into steam, but you also need enough water.
Yeah.
So you could run out of both fuel and water.
It was just one of these things where it's like, and a little frustrating because again, you're successfully running a railroad over at the Magic Kingdom, and it's like, how is it that one can stay up and running and not derail, and this one? But again, it's when you rush to build a railroad in the middle of what used to be a cypress swamp. It's just sort of
in a year, and then the dirt hadn't settled and all of that other stuff.
There we go. But again, this is kind of a theme that runs through the early days of Fort Wilderness. Things get built quickly at the campground, and then Disney World officials would actually have to figure out how to make them work. Which brings us to Pioneer Hall, the first expansion of size in the settlement area. This was supposed to be the campground's new major entertainment and dining complex, and
where it's New Year's Eve, 1876, every night.
There we go. But here's the thing. They hurriedly build Pioneer Hall. Because remember, when this place opens, November of 71, there's no on-site restaurants or stores. In fact, we talked on the last show about how food service for the entire campground consisted of a retrofitted flatbread truck that was effectively a grocery store on wheels that would roll through the various campsite loops at breakfast, lunch, and dinner and go, what do you need?
Yeah, that sounds like a good way to distribute hurricane relief food, but maybe not for a commercial endeavor.
But on the other hand, people who stayed at the campsite loved the truck. So, charming, rustic. Anyway, Pioneer Hall opens April 1st, 1974. And at that point, when it finally opens, this is when the officials of Disney World are like, all right, so how is this actually going to work? And now, mind you, some of this right off the bat is fine. For example, Crockett's Tavern, that's the quick service that's next to the Camps Arcade. And whereas Pioneer Hall, it was supposed to be a flex space. So the idea is that this would be during the day, mind you, Len, the place where guests could come in, sit in the air conditioning and listen to a lecture about the flora and fauna found in Central Florida, or maybe go in and catch a screening of a Disney True Life adventure. But at night,
oh wow,
it was supposed to. It shared a kitchen with Crockett's Tavern, so maybe we'll serve steak dinners in here. Maybe. And seriously, Len, that was the plan in spring of 74. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do that. I know that sounds odd, but you have to remember that this is a Disney World that has just come through the Arab oil embargo of 73.
Okay.
It started in November of 73, ends in March of 74. And during that time, America had actually gone through gas rationing. And for a very brief, absolutely terrifying moment for Disney World officials, it looked like hundreds of thousands of would-be Walt Disney World visitors couldn't buy the gas they needed to drive down to Orlando and visit the resort.
Right.
So this is the thing. Pioneer Hall opens April 1st, 74, and the new mantra at Disney is make as much money as you can, as fast as you can. We now have to make up for the past 6 months of low attendance, which this is where it gets strange. Someone in entertainment comes up with an interesting idea because the Polynesian Review, the live dinner show that was being presented nightly on the shores of Seven Seas Lagoon, was consistently selling out. In fact,
Really?
Yep. In fact, guest demand for the luau was so strong that the Poly was now presenting as many as 3 shows nightly and still turning people away.
For the Polynesian Review, really? 3 shows nightly?
3 shows nightly. Now, mind you, at the same time, you do have the Top of the World at the Contemporary. But again, that's more of a supper club. It's a higher point. It's a smaller capacity.
Yeah,
so,
higher price point, yeah.
So this is the thing. It's just sort of like there is clearly a need for another dinner show on property.
And these are, at this time, Jim, we've only got the 3 hotels, right? We've got
That's it,
the
exactly.
Contemporary. We've got the Poly.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Fort Wilderness. So each one of them, 2 of them have a dinner show.
I want to say the Gulf Resort comes online sometime in the same window, but you're not wrong.
Okay.
Anyway, so on this incredibly thin idea, we need another place to send guests when the Polynesian Review is completely sold out. This is where the hoop-de-doo comes from.
Really?
But this is the thing. In the tradition of virtually everything at Fort Wilderness being done with not enough money or not enough time to do anything right. So instead of professional entertainments, literally equity members, the original cast of the first iteration of the Hoop-de-Doo Review are all kids who signed up for the college program in 74.
Of course. Hey, congratulations, you're in food and bev, but let me tell you the upside of this.
Well, no, that's it exactly. You can't think about it. It's February, March, and I'm going to dance and sing in front of Cinderella Castle. And I think, well, pal, no, actually, you're going to be up on a teeny tiny stage while people chew on beef ribs in front of you.
You know what? It's still show business.
There we go.
You know what? Fine.
Okay.
Really? So Hoop-de-Doo is basically the hoedown version of the Polynesian luau.
That's it exactly.
All right. Okay. All right.
But think about this, Lynn. Pioneer Hall opens April 1st, 1974. The very first performance of Hoop-de-Doo happens in that space June 30th of that same year. So they go from nature talks to a dinner show in 90 days.
That is exceptionally fast for Disney.
It is. And also came within inches of crashing and burning. Gary Goddard, who worked on the project, told me about first 2 weeks, very sparsely attended. In fact, he remembered one night where there were only 6 tables full of guests in all of Pioneer Hall. And
everyone gets their own wagon.
Well, then everyone gets their own entertainer, Len.
Oh my God, really?
There are 6 members of the cast. So it's like, here's Jim Handy. You're going to have him all night. But by late July of that same year, Hoop-de-Doo's found its footing. More to the point, word is spread around the resort that there's this fun new dinner show being presented at Fort Wilderness. And by the fall of that year, which, by the way, is when all of the original Hoop-de-Doo cast members have to go back to school. So at this point, Disney suddenly, oh, crud, we got to hire professionals. We got to go talk to equity. And that's when they had to go out and actually hold auditions for Dolly Drew and 6-Bit Slocum. But anyway, if we jump ahead 6 months now after Hoop-de-Doo's up and running, Disney, as all Disney does a survey. And they want to know who exactly is going to this new dinner show over at Fort Wilderness. And they discover it's not the people staying at the campground. But
really?
Yeah, right. It's the folks at the Contemporary, the Poly, and again, the Golf Resort. And And in fact, according to this survey, that was by a 2-to-1 factor that it was the monorail resort folks who were coming over. And this is now beginning to frustrate Walt Disney World officials. I mean, they love the fact that day in, day out, there's consistent demand for all of those campsites at Fort Wilderness. In fact, demand is so high that by the fall of 74, those 500 campsites have now grown to 600. And also looking forward now to the American Bicentennial, summer of 76. Plan is to have an additional 232 campsites for a total of 832 by June of 76.
And is that number 832 like roughly where they ended at? Like how many did we end up with?
I want to say we're north of 1,000 at this point.
Okay, I thought so too. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, but as we mentioned on last week's show, we have on average 5.2 guests staying at every campsite, but they're just not spending per capita spending the way the folks at the Contemporary, the Poly, and the Golf Resort.
Well, yeah, because they've got their own lodging and their own kitchens and they can make their own food. Yeah, okay. All right, I see it.
This is true, but at the same time, they're also staying longer. These folks down at the campground are staying for 7 days, whereas the folks who are in the monorail resorts, they're checking out on average after 4 days.
Okay, so they're staying longer. There's more people per reservation, and they're still not spending as much.
And more to the point, they're staying at the campground. These people are not going over to the Magic Kingdom quite as often.
Oh, got it.
All right. So what does Disney do to try to fix this? And their innovation, Len, is ticket books. Seriously.
Well, which they knew at the time, right? Ticket books were all the rage.
Well, more to the point, that's what you use when you were over at the Magic Kingdom. You want to go in the Haunted Mansion, you got to surrender an e-ticket to have that experience.
Okay, but ticket books for a campground?
Well, now here's the thing again, we go back to the November 1974 annual report where they describe the new business plan for the campground. Will make it possible for the company to develop a ticket book for the campground's recreational activities. So, the idea is that you're a family booking a campsite at Walt Disney World, and you're on your phone with the recreational rep, and they're like, "Oh, good, all right, we have the campsite available for those dates." And now let's talk about your ticket books for the campground, because these will allow you, for example, to book a horseback ride along the shores of Bay Lake, or a visit to our petting zoo at the Circle D Ranch. And on the other hand, if you want to spring for the deluxe ticket book, that'll get you use of a water sprite out on Bay Lake or Seven Seas Lagoon. Not to mention your choice of a breakfast at Pioneer Hall. Hey, remember the Melvin the Moose show with Chip and Dale that they used to do there?
I don't remember this, but now I'm going to go look it up. Melville the Moose?
Melvin the Moose with Chip and Dale.
Okay, I'm looking this up. I'll if I find this, and I don't believe it exists right now, but if I find it,
okay,
I'll put it in the show notes. All right, so these ticket books would cost more money.
They would. But on the other hand, they would ensure that you get another chance to get some additional money from these 5.2 people who are staying. But here's the thing, to really seal the deal when it came to persuading people who are going to stay at Fort Wilderness to buy these ticket books, they needed an incentive. And what they decided to do for this incentive, in fact, it got announced again, late 74, with the notion of this will be up and running, by the summer of the American Bicentennial, the Fort Wilderness Swimming Hole, a major recreational facility, now being planned for the area, which of course is river country, which is oddly enough where, our Lakeside Lodge is being built right now. So
really, so river country came about as a way to get the cheapskates staying at Fort Wilderness to spend a little bit more money to bring them up to par with the Contemporary and the Poly.
Yeah, and the amazing part of the storyline is River Country was supposed to be phase 1. And in fact, I know because you have your copy of the 2-volume set of The Art of Mark Davis, that we're going to discuss on next week's show. Because this was the precursor to Buffalo Junction, but there were a number of recreational things that were going to be built here, like the Red Barn Adventure House that was filled with Mark Davis inspired Haunted Mansion-esque things. Not to mention there was the Sadie Mae, which was going to be this weird mix of Country Bear, America Sings, and live performers on stage interacting with audio animatronic performers. But again, we'll get to that next week. But yeah, this was all about, hey, you 5.2 people at every campsite, open your damn wallets.
Wow. And so if River Country, so the plan was if River Country had succeeded, it would have spawned all of these different branches of entertainment around the resort, but all themed to the western part of America's history.
That's it exactly. But the interesting thing is, and we'll discuss this in next week's show, it wasn't actually that River Country wasn't successful. In fact, if anything, the needle went in the exact opposite direction. I mean, River Country would open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 8:30, there'd be a sign out at the entrance of Fort Wilderness, the effect of, sorry, but River Country is full. We can't take on any more people. It was actually, weirdly enough, a decision about do we continue to invest in the campground, or do we build a second gate here in Florida, a place called Epcot. So, but again, we'll talk more about that next week.
Oh, fantastic. Mm-hmm. All right. That's super interesting. I can't wait for the next installment of this one.
It's a fun story.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for the show today. You can help support our show by subscribing over at patreon.com/JimHillMedia, where we're posting exclusive shows every week. Our next video is with Imagineer Jim Schul on the history of Stitch's Great Escape. On next week's show, Jim continues the history of Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge. And you can find more of Jim at JimHillMedia.com and more of me, Len at TouringPlans.com. Chrissy, where can people find more of you?
On Instagram, on the Touring Plans Instagram, please.
At Touring Plans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We're produced spectacularly by Eric Hersey and David Gray, whose cardio is so good they'll be giving twice daily cross-country ski tours at the 2025 Bryce Canyon Winter Festival this coming February 15th through the 17th, starting at Ruby's Inn on South Main Street in beautiful downtown Bryce Canyon City, Utah. While Eric and David are doing that, please go on to iTunes and rate our show and tell us what you'd like to hear next. For Jim, this is Len. We will see you on the next show.